Alright, today we're having a look at Firespike Tower by Morphology 76. Alright, so here we are in Firespike Tower by Morphology 76. This was put up on the Reddits like a couple of weeks back, and it looked pretty nifty. Or at least, I don't think it actually had pictures, but it attracted my eye, and I asked if I could take a look at it, and Morphology said, hey, yo, do it though. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I should point off right away that I apologize for my voice. I've got a new headset and it's doing things. I'm not happy with it, with the voice quality, but that is the way it's gonna have to be. Yo, excuse me? Anyways, about the level. The level, the title page promises a lot. There's a lot of promises that are being made about secrets, and y'all know how I like my secrets. I feel like I just missed something back there. Well, that is just darling, and I love this. Look, the snail. We're here for it. We're here for that snail. No, wait, do I want to go? Okay, I want to get in there, and that's gonna put me out here, and then I gotta go in there, but that's gonna put me here. I want to break that wall, though. It's clearly a fourth wall that needs to be broken by this, hello? Are you, do you do a thing? Oh! Gotcha. I don't know, I do need to think about the use of this material, because this doesn't really, I don't really feel like it attracts the eye very well. I did not want to do that. That was not, in fact, what I wanted to do. Oh no! No, I hate it. I hate it. Oh, Morphology. Yo, though. Actually thought of an easy way that players might get stuck. Although maybe having those there, they could turn off an easy way players could get stuck, and making a way to get out of it. That is like sharp. I'm digging it, Morphology. That was well done. I'm saying that was well done. I'm liking it so far. It's got a weird pace to it, but that's kind of okay, because as I was trying to say and kept on interrupting myself, well, that's not what I wanted to do. Where's my checkpoint, though? Where's my visible checkpoint, though? It advertises there being a fair amount of, like, secrety stuff, so that would kind of indicate that it's going to have a bit of a slower pace, because you're going to be looking around for things. Oh my god! I hear the checkpoint noise. I hate that. Okay. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. Oh, fudge! We're gonna apparently talk about that back in the hub. I cannot turn off the alarm right now. Timer, I can't. We're not anyplace safe. What do you want from me, timer? Stop it. Alright, let's just get here. Turn off that timer. We're gonna talk about this back in the hub, but I've got some I feel pretty happy about it so far. Well, we're gonna see what we think. We'll see you there. See yas. And we're back. And Firespike Tower by Morphology 76, and I'd say it's a solid green circle. I ended up really like this level. I was a little bit on the fence that my first playthrough, but the more times that I played through it and looking at the B-roll footage, and it really ended up growing on me. I do think that it is a gem, and it's such a shame. When I did my first playthrough and I noticed that there had been only 4 players had given this a play, and like one of them is probably Morphology, and that just seems so wrong, because this is such a nice level and it really deserves to get an awful lot of love, but it's pretty hard to get things promoted these days in LBP 3 as a creator, and I'm so glad that Morphology put this up on the subreddit, because I wouldn't have found it. I wouldn't have known where to look for it, and I would have missed out on a really fun experience. There's, it's got its rough edges to it, and we'll talk about those, but for the most part, I think it's just really good. To start things off, the presentation is very nice and warm, and I really appreciated the aesthetic of it. There's like one of the few times that I've seen the Bunkum Lagoon background that's actually used pretty well, but you've got like a lot of soft oranges and reds and golds in the level, even like the tans and the whites and the grays serve to kind of accent things. They don't kind of drag it down into a darker look. I really liked it. It's a really small detail, but the way that a lot of the white blocks that make up the walls aren't necessarily flush, and the walls aren't perfect. There's gaps in the walls where you can see into the back. There's parts where the blocks have kind of slipped down, and that's like a really... It's a small detail, but it's a really, really nice effect. The level's got some nice humor in it, in its feel. Like when you first pick up the hook hat, and like all of the hook hat icons drop down from the top. When you find all the cats, and it's not too difficult to find all the cats, but it's a secret, and I love those little secrets in levels, but you find all the cats, and a cat shows up at the end, and there's some recorded voice. I'm gonna guess this is Morphology's voice, himself, and saying, hey, you found a really great job. And it's like, it's goofy and kind of dopey, but I loved it. It's super cute. And in that section, you try to get to the scoreboard, and it kind of fakes you out. The scoreboard raises up, and then it raises up again, and it's like, okay, you know, at the end of the level, I do kind of want to wrap things up, but I'll give that to you. That's pretty cute. The secret area in the level, now this is actually kind of cool because you get a sticker switch in the level. You actually got to play through the level a second time, and I like seeing that creators having confidence enough in their levels that players would actually want to go through a second time, and I highly recommend doing it because it's really fun. But there's this like little dev room area, and you've got all these unused bounce pads and bits of logic that are sitting around, and Morphology's running around in the background periodically in costume, and like it was just really cute, and I really appreciated all of that. And speaking a little bit of confidence, although a small negative point here, but I kind of appreciated the fact that it's not an infinite life level. Like the checkpoints have limits on them. You could die out of level, and it's rare for me to run into creators that choose to do that and are confident enough in their level that, like, yeah, I will try to kill you. You might actually fail this level, but I expect that you'll want to play it again and beat it. And like, that's kind of cool. A lot of times I see limited life checkpoints is because the creators have forgotten to swap the starting checkpoint to infinite life, because all the rest of the checkpoints in the level are infinite life, and it's like kind of weird. But like, I actually appreciate that as not a down choice, as a design choice. One small downside, that's what I was going to get to, is that there are a couple of these checkpoints that are hidden. I mean, they're not like made invisible. They're deliberately put off screen, so you'll be launched up into the platform that you're supposed to be on. And while that's kind of a neat effect, I did find that it was a pretty big surprise when I heard the you've already used 5 lives, you're gonna die, that kind of buzzer going off in the background, because there was no checkpoint to look at, so there was nothing cueing me in visually to the fact that, yeah, I could actually fail this level. So that was, yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a communication issue. It's not like a major one, but it can make it a little bit more difficult. But like I said, I do think that is a deliberate choice, because none of the other checkpoints are hidden. None of the other checkpoints are made invisible. So there's just kind of like, okay, well, there's that. Another thing I did find with player communication that was a little bit to the negative, in particular, there's one kind of bounce pad obstacle mechanical area. There's a lot of mechanical stuff in this level that I think is really cool. But you're running across, and there's some layer launchers. They're automatic layer launchers, and then there's a bounce pad a little bit to the right. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to jump on the bounce pad, which will send it mechanically on like a track into the back layer. And then you run onto the layer launchers, get flung back, and then use that bounce pad to move along with the level. But the thing is that because those layer launchers are automatic layer launchers, and I think they're going to attract the player's attention, and the thought that I'm supposed to get on those first, and they'll throw you in the background, and then it's like, well, there you are in the background, there's nothing to do, so you got to come back into the foreground to actually get the puzzle to continue. And it's like, I mean, it's not really a big deal, but I kind of feel like that would have been smoother had they been the blue style of layer launchers, where the player actually triggers them themselves, that the player might be more attracted to the automatic bounce pad that's over there to the right. It's a small issue, but like, it is an issue I think that you could just a little bit of polish might go in there. Now, another small issue that's coming up after that, but you'll be on a mechanical bit, and it's going to cause a layer launcher to come up. It'll throw you into the background and onto a slide, and that slide has spikes on it, and you're supposed to avoid the spikes when you're coming down. And like, it's not really a bad hazard or anything, but the fact that the player isn't going to know that there's spikes on that slide when they first get on it, and movement on slides has never been really great. I don't think, honestly, that Sumo did a particularly good job with the slide mechanics, so it could end up with a player death in that area that feels a little bit unearned. It's just, there's not really much of a way around it because of the way that the level design is and where the cameras are, and that there's really a way to visually cue the player early on that there's going to be spikes there, but like, yeah, it's a little bit of an iffy point for me. As far as like gameplay in general goes, though, I really found it to be quite enjoyable. You got two main gimmicks that I think get pretty well developed here, and you know, pretty good screen time. You've got the hook hat gimmick, and this is actually a good hook hat level. It's so seldom that I feel like I get to say that. I feel like creators don't really know how to use the hook hat well. You've got like really long sections where there's nothing going on, or really short sections where the hook hat gets abandoned quite quickly and never come back to in the level. But here the hook hat is used throughout the level. There's a nice mix of shorter like bounce, jump from like this little section to that little section and moving on with things, but a couple of longer sections as well, particularly in the race towards the end, that I think that kind of hit both ends of the hook hat fairly well. One small point with the hook hat that I didn't super enjoy, but this is more about the mechanics of the actual power-up itself, being as slippery as it is, and you've got a bit where you're going to be on a rail that's moving upwards, and there's flaming bits on either side that you're trying to avoid, and you'll find the gaps in between them so that you can go up and try to get some score bubbles along the way. And it's kind of easy to die in that section, to be honest, because the hook hat is so slippery and some of the score bubbles are put so far away from the gaps. I don't think it's really unfair. I don't think this is something that Morphology did poorly, but I think that players that might struggle a little bit with the physics of the hook hat are going to have a hard time in that section, and it's just kind of it's just kind of like the way that it is. As far as the other aspect of the level, the wall bounce section, and I thought that was really well handled. There's a fair amount of good wall bounce action here, some of it combined with the hook hat, which I appreciate. Getting our two gameplay elements to kind of merge later on in the level, I think is really good technique. There's one bit earlier on where it's just a wall bounce section, but you've got like these two pathings up that you're bouncing side to side, and then there's like platforms in between them, and you've got heavy blocks that are falling down through the pathings on either side, and you've got to kind of nail the timing to get through that. Or you could be a bit of a chicken like myself and pause in those platform sections in the middle. But it's like the timing is tight, but you can actually do it like in one straight shot, and it's a really good feeling when you get that momentum building and you're going from side to side like that, and you nail it, and it's like, oh, that was really cool. That was like a really neat section. But yeah, it was, and I really appreciated it. Another like little incidental detail, but kind of, you know, speaking to the humor of the level, you've got that like these wall bounce pillars, and on top of them are like vases and statues and things like that. You can bounce off of them to knock the statues down, break them, get a 500 point bonus. It's like, it's a really small thing, but it's neat that it's there. I appreciated it, and like, yeah, it's just like, it's a cool little detail that I thought was pretty keen. One thing that I did find in the level, maybe this is like the biggest quote-unquote negative, it's not like, it's weird because there are two sections that I think mechanically and gameplay-wise are really cool, but placement-wise is a little bit iffy. So you've got that race, right? And you know, with races, and you generally want like a lot of control over what's going on and over your action, because you're trying to keep that momentum up and you're trying to like move through quickly, of course, to get all the points that you possibly can in the race. And right in that race, you've got these two carnival game sections that like really slow things down in ways that you can't really account for. The first one, you've got these 4 ducks that are moving along in the background. You've got 3 cannons in the front. You're going to be dropping off the hook hat rail on the bounce pads to cause the cannons to fire and to kill the ducks. Cool, neat. It's not hard, but you can miss the ducks. They're moving just fast enough to make it a little bit tough to line them up with the cannons, but just slow enough that you are waiting forever if you miss hitting one of the ducks. And it's like, you can just see your points dribbling away out of your, out of the scoreboard, the race timer, and it's like, please speed up! I just want to kill this duck and move on! And so similarly, you move on from that, and then you've got this bit where there's a row of layer launchers. They're activated layer launchers, not automatic ones, and like the layer launcher that you can interact with, and it's like sliding along, lighting up from left to right, right to left. They're going to throw you back onto a ramp with a bullseye on it, which is going to put you into some bounce pads in the middle that you can use to grab onto some dangly bits, and you'll pull those down. There'll be a clunk, and you get all 3 of them down, and then the gate will open up and let you finish off the level. Easy peasy 1, 2, 3-zy. But like, it's the activated, the activatable layer launcher, like that's skimming past really quick, and it's really easy to miss it, and you gotta wait for it to come back across and hope that you are able to get the timing right to trigger it. And the bullseye target in the back is moving. There's like a lot of moving things that you don't have a lot of control over, and you could just watch that race timer dribbling your points away in the background, and it's like, it's designed to make the player frustrated. It's designed to cost the player time, which in a sense is good design. From a creator standpoint, from a challenge standpoint, but from a player standpoint, it can be hecka frustrating. And that, I don't know, like, I love both of those sections. I think they're really cool, and I wonder if they would work the way that they do without the race timer kind of on your back, but at the same time, it's like, come on, man, let me just go, let me get these points. I want a high score. But the fact that I wanted a high score in this level, like, I think speaks to its quality. The fact that, like, when I went back through for B-rolls, I specifically did a B-roll that was, like, slow, so I could get the footage that I wanted, and then I went back in and tried to get for the archive, like, the best run that I could get, because I really wanted to do well in this level. I really enjoyed it. I think that Morphology knocked it out of the park on this one. I think this level deserves way more love than it's gotten, and I highly recommend you to go and give it a play. This was published in January 2023. There are still good creators in LBP putting together good, solid levels like this, and it's so hard to find them. I'm really glad that I got one that I can, with the limited audience that I have, but that I can push this because it's just cool. This is really great. Morphology, thank you so much for sharing your creativity with the community. Thank you for being so chill when I asked you if I could review this level and asked you for your pronouns, and you were like, yeah, hey, it's he, him. Go to town with it. Like, hey, folks, it's just that easy, and you can be just that cool, unless there's reasons in your meat space life where giving away your pronouns might cause you to be in danger, in which case I completely understand it, and also that's a personal thing. You choose to give that information or not. Like, I know that there's a lot of things in that decision, but, if you don't have a problem with it, like, just give them out. It's cool, it helps me out a ton. Anyways, Morphology, thank you. Super cool dude. And that pretty much, like, this ended up being 5 minutes longer than the last take that I took, but I think I've got everything, and I think I got the energy that I want to convey, that this level is cool, and you should play it. So, that pretty much does it for us here, this go about. So from me, Disco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.